Hello everyone, welcome to Study IQ. And in this video, I will tell you some interview tips. Now, I will focus on body language. This is one of the most important, if not the most important, area that you should focus on in any interview. Now, I'm sure you must have done your own research. You must have gone through a lot of text online, offline. You must have read a lot of books about how to ace interviews, how to clear interviews. But there is one area in interview which is often overlooked by most of the aspirants, which is body language. And yes, that is the most important area, if you personally ask me. Because body language is something that it is not very easy to change. If a person is, for example, very anxious, then it is not very easy to stay calm. And if a person gets angry easily, if a person gets offended easily, so there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind when you have to uh, sit for an interview. And interview is one of the most important part of the overall examination process, because if interview goes wrong, then all the hard work which you have done in the last 1 year, it goes waste. Therefore, concentrate on what I say, and it's only your focus that will help you in changing your body language for your betterment. So let me begin. So this is the body language tips by me. My name is Dr. Gaurav Garg. I am bringing to you this video, and in this I will also share my personal experience and also the empirical experience of a lot of successful aspirants. So your preparation for an interview starts actually much before the interview date. Now let's say a safe time is 2 weeks before the interview. I think that is the best time when you can start for your interview process. It's possible that you have other exams also, so don't over prepare for an interview. Otherwise, it may make you anxious and it will take away your naturality, so called your natural behavior. So therefore, I think 2 weeks is sufficient for you to prepare. Now, how to start? 2 weeks before the interview, start with debates and discussions. That is on the current topics. And this applies to all the exams. This video is not for any particular exam. These hacks or these body language tips and tricks that I'm sharing with you are for every exam. Start with debates and discussions. This includes both reading and debating with your friends. Because if you debate with your friend, then try to debate in a manner that you both have contrarian views. Because what that will do is that will enable you to answer any googly that the interviewer throws at you. So try to discuss as many current affairs topics as possible. For example, these days demonetization is very hot. Now, whether demonetization is good for the country or bad for the country, we'll see. But if the interviewer asks you, well, is demonetization good for the country? Then be calm. Don't take sides. Don't say it is good. Don't say it is bad. Now, one golden rule I will tell you. Whenever such googly is thrown at you, then always stay diplomatic. But only stay diplomatic if you have that sort of a personality that you are a diplomatic person, because you can't fake it for long. Because if they start questioning you deeper, then you will be caught. So, for example, one golden rule for any interview is that never criticize the government. That is the golden rule. And I'll tell you why we should not criticize the government. See, any decision that the government makes, any policy that the government makes is for the betterment of the country. Now, the implementation may go wrong, or let's say the outcome may go wrong, but that does not mean that the government wanted to harm the people. So, the policy makers always, just like you and me, just like any person, would want the best for the country. That is why any scheme, any government scheme, in principle, should not be, you know, it should not be said that it is wrong or it was wrong to start off with. It was a wrong thought. It is always correct. So, you may give moderate answers. So this is just one of the examples that I'm giving you, and these debates and discussions will help you to not be too fussy about your view about something, because when you have a particular very strong view about something, then it is always harmful, because that closes your mind. So what happens is, especially in today's time when there is a lot of social media, people surround themselves with the like-minded people. So people form Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, or these groups based on their ideology, and they like to see the people who have similar views. Therefore, when you are surrounded by people who have the same view as yours, you will start feeling like the entire country is feeling like that. But it is not like that. So never become an armchair person. Always debate, go out in the open. That will enhance your knowledge, and that will also give you the grassroots reality. That is why debate and discussion are one of the most important part for any interview. Always start them 2 weeks before the interview. Another thing, when students try debates, discussions, or current affairs or descriptive writing, then they try to be exhaustive. See, anything under the sun is GK. Anything under the sun is current affairs, because there is so much going on. We have 200 plus countries. There is so much going on, not just in polity, not just in society, but in economic ecosystem, in environment ecosystem. So much is happening, science and technology. So you can't cover everything. So there is no point trying to be exhaustive. You can never finish the entire topics. Why I'm telling you to debate and discuss? So have a basic idea about what to speak when a person challenges your view. That ability you have to develop in yourself, because you might be holding a certain view, and as soon as I challenge your view with fact and figure, you may get offended because you are not used to that. So you may attack me personally. You are not used to being knowledgeable. You are not used to uh, professing your view with facts and figures, and that is why you might attack the person. This thing will not work in the interview. You can't be a post-truth person, so to say, and still get your way out. No, you have to respect the interviewer. And please note that these people who interview, they are much more experienced. So never argue, never ever argue. They are much more experienced. They have seen life more than you. You may be talented, that's all right, but what experience teaches you, ability can never teach that. So do give them the respect that they deserve. One important factor is self talk or practice in front of mirror. Now please give very, a lot of importance. See what happens sometimes, the people especially who are introvert, when they go out and they face people, then they become anxious. They become anxious of the fact that, since they are not used to talking to a lot of people, so they start feeling like, oh, how I'm gonna look, saying that. For example, let's say there is a girl, and the girl might not like that when she argues or when she counters a topic, then also she should look pretty. And it happens with a lot of people. This is what a lot of psychologists say. Every person uh, tries to look good, even when fighting, even when arguing, even when countering a view, even when answering questions which may not be possible. So to reduce that anxiety, always practice in front of a mirror. It will make you very very confident, and do a lot of self talk also to be in a realistic frame of mind. Now 1 week before interview, it's always advisable to give a mock interview to a friend or a professional. I would recommend professional, but as I've seen most of these professionals, they charge a lot of money, so you can give to your friend also. But please note that friend should have some level of knowledge, and try not to give interview to your best friends, or because the environment may become either comical or unprofessional. That will not help you in the real interview. Real interview is about staying calm. It's about your personality. They have tested your knowledge in pre, mains, or other exams, and the interview is only and only about you. That is your personality. So it's okay if you answer a couple of questions wrong, but if there is any flaw, if there is any very blatant flaw that is perceptible to the interviewers, then you are in some trouble. So it is only on these factors that I'll focus in this video. Now, why preparation is important? Some people are like, well, we should just stay natural. We should be ourselves, just be ourselves. And these days there's a lot of these videos on social media which tell you that if a company does not want you the way you are, then there is no point working for the company. Okay, all that bullshit is fine. When it comes to real life, you know how much you have worked hard in this year, and if you take that attitude, then well, it will not help you really. You will end up dropping another year, preparing, getting frustrated, being in depression, and not facing the society. So don't try to be very cool about it. Always prepare, and I'll tell you why. Now let's say interviewer asks you this question: your father is in defense or was in defense, because you must have written about your father, your parents in your CV, curriculum vitae. So let's say you have written that your father is a defense person. He was in defense and now retired. Now he may have any occupation, any vocation, but let's say defense. So why didn't you wish to be in the defense? After all, you are coming for a government job. That invariably means that you wish to serve the country. So if your father was in defense, why didn't you wish to be in the defense? Now there can be a lot of answer to this question. Lot of answers are possible. But if you have not prepared, Then what will happen? In the anxiety, in that interview tension, you will speak some bullshit which will ultimately give such a bad impression on the interviewer that this person has actually not prepared. Okay, let me tell you a reverse psychology now. Let's say you are the interviewer. Okay, you are interviewing someone. What sort of a student would you like? Someone who just comes across as, oh, he's a very cool guy, or someone who is actually prepared? Do the people want sincere people, or do they want revolutionaries? What kind of a people the interviewer wants when he takes an interview? It is obviously the sincere ones, the ones who give adequate respect to the process. And that is why you should prepare, because that will help you prevent blunders. Now, I have had all sorts of students. Okay, a lot of students, they come out of the interview room so pleased as if they have climbed Mount Everest, and that is perfectly all right because their interview perhaps went better than their expectations. But did they get that elusive envelope saying you have made it and your joining is due? No, they didn't. Why? It is because of the body language. They must have committed a blunder which they have not seen, but the interviewer has seen it. And therefore, this is one of the biggest blunders, that students don't prepare for an interview. This is one of the blunders. So nothing will help you but yourself. Always remember that. So always prepare. And this is just one question. You know, there can be hundreds of questions. Now, let me add something more. Let's say they ask you, your father was in defense, and why didn't you wish to be in defense? Now, let's say in your anxiety, you say, well, I prefer to be at one place and work. Let's say in anxiety, people say all the stupid things. Let's say you want to be at one place, and because in defense, tomorrow you might be in Cochin, next year, your father might be transferred to somewhere else. So you say, well, since my childhood, I have been traveling all over the country, and I prefer to be at one place so that I can give my best. And people give these kind of answers. Immediately, the interviewer will ask you, well, if you wish to be at one place, then you are sitting for a bank interview. In bank, there is a, after every 3 years, there is a transfer. So again, you will have to relocate, and then you will find that, oh my God, now I'm in trouble, and you will not be able to defend your answer. Next, you have to defend what you have written in your CV. That is why CV is one of the most important parts of your interview process. Now, you can be smart. In fact, let me tell you, if you are smart, you can drive the interview in the direction you want by putting appropriate things on the CV. But if you can't defend what you have written on the CV, the interview is over. I'm very serious about it. If you can't defend what is on your CV, the interview is over. They will just do the formality for the adequate time, and they will not throw you out of the room, of course, but they will give you an absolute zero, or they'll give you low marks. Now, let me elucidate what I've just said. Let's say they ask you, what are your hobbies? And you say, and you have written in your CV, watching TV debates. Okay, well, one reason you might have written this is because, well, you actually like watching TV debates, but there might be one more reason for it. You want to sound intellectual, you want to sound pedant, very learned, scholarly person, and that's why if I write watching TV debates, well, the interviewer will think that, oh yes, this guy is very updated, up to date, very, very knowledgeable, very nice guy, and my chances will increase. Now, the next question, which TV debate do you watch? Who is your favorite anchor? And well, suddenly you're in a big soup. Okay, you watch debates, but who is your favorite anchor? Now, let's say in that anxiety, one name pops up in your mind. Okay, oh, Arnab Goswami. Okay, fine. But then, if Arnab Goswami is your favorite, then you should know everything about Arnab Goswami. You should know, at which time slot his debates come, on which channel he comes, which channel is he going to start, what is the name of that channel. You should know everything about it. So always defend, be able to defend. What was the last debate that you saw of Arnab Goswami? Why did you like it? So questions like these are very, very frequent, and do prepare for them. Next important point, do not do drama. What do I mean by drama? A lot of people have this tendency. They write these things on their CV a lot. NGO work. Oh, I was associated with this NGO, that NGO. I've done a lot of social service. See, write it only when you have done it, and be very clear about, if you write this, then you should carry the references, the certificates from these organizations, some experience letters. Do not write anything that you do not have a proof of. Let's say you are a professional chess player. Okay, and let's say you have won a district level chess championship and you have won a state level chess championship, and you don't have a proof for state level chess championship, do not write it in your CV. Even though you have won it, write about district only. So be very clear about what you write in the CV. Now, 3 days before interview. 3 days before the interview, you repeat the answers to the questions that you believe you fear the most or may make you uncomfortable. For example, some questions you can expect, like, tell me about yourself. Now, this is one of the most dangerous questions that is being asked, but this is also one of the questions that the students are used to taking so casually. They can speak anything, so a lot of preparation is required, and 3 days before the interview, just mug up the answer like a parrot and sit in front of the mirror and repeat it 100 times, so that when you actually answer in that atmosphere of tension and anxiety, then you do not commit any blunder. Okay, so 3 days before the interview, repeat all the answers to all the possible questions, dissect your CV like your life depends on it, and to each and every question you should have an answer ready. You should not take a pause of more than 5 seconds. For example, if interviewer asks you, why do you wish to be in a bank job? Why do you wish to be in a bank job? Don't take more than 5 seconds. Pause, and your answer should be ready. It should give the impression to the interviewer that you have prepared for it. That is what he or she likes. Next, one night before the interview, stay very calm, stay positive, and revise your CV at least 5 times. Now, I cannot give more emphasis on this. I've already told you what is the importance of revising your CV. So one night before the interview, stay calm, stay positive, which means watch movies, but take adequate sleep. And this is very important, because if you don't take adequate sleep, then a forgetfulness might ensue in your brain, and you might not remember a lot of things. Proper sleep is very essential, and this is scientifically proven that if you take good sleep, then there are a lot of these chemicals that are secreted which actually clean your brain. So revise your CV at least 5 times before you sleep, and that's it. That's all you can do. See, working hard is in our hands, and that part we should not compromise on. Result, of course, is not in our hands, so let's just leave it to God. But what is in our hands, that thing we should do 100%. Now, before leaving home, and this is quite important. Let's say your interview is at 11 o'clock and the place is very near. So if the place is very near, then you can reach at the place 1 hour before. Please do not reach at the place, very, very early. Otherwise, again, it will make you anxious. Be at the right time, not too early, not too late. Because what happens when you are too early, then you start finding time for recreation, or just passing that time basically. And that might take away the seriousness from your interview. And that might make you tired just before the interview process. First, do not eat heavy, but do eat something. Because if you do not eat anything, then you may have this acidity and all these problems. So do eat something, and I'll tell you the advantage of both. Let's say you have eaten very heavy and there is a very short waiting time. That is, let's say you reach the center and immediately your number comes, then you will be in trouble. Because what happens is, when you eat heavy, then the blood flow to your stomach increases and the blood flow to your brain decreases. That is why after consuming heavy, we feel sleepy, because our mesenteric blood flow, or our blood flow to the stomach, increases, since blood is required for digestion of the food. Let's say you have not eaten anything and there is a long waiting time. Your interview is after 4 hours, you have not eaten anything. Then also you will be in a little trouble. You might feel drowsy, that is sleepy, or you might feel not fresh, and you might be, some irritation might overwhelm you, and you might feel that, okay, interview, there are 4 hours, let's just get it done, because I can't wait anymore. I would rather not get selected than wait. And these type of feelings are very, very dangerous. That again takes away the seriousness from the process. And if the interview place is far, it's better to reach 1 day early. Now, these are very basic things. Now, look energetic. Very, very important. Look energetic. You don't have to be jumping on your chair, but you have to look energetic. Dress formally. If possible, follow all the proper protocols. If possible, wear a tie also. And avoid perfume. Don't put too heavy a perfume that may give the impression again that you are very casual. Light deodorant is fine, but don't put perfume. If you are a dark person, you can wear light colored clothes. And if you are a fair person, you can wear dark colored clothes. If you are a dark person, don't wear dark colored clothes. That is not very professional. So dress nicely, dress, Dress like it's your marriage day, but don't wear that marriage clothes. Next, what to do in the waiting area. Now this is another important part. What to do in the waiting area? So revise your CV, if possible, in your waiting area also. Why I'm saying you that is because let's you have revised last night before interview, and there might be some areas which you may have forgotten. So again, you can revise it 5 times, no problem. But do not revise anything else. Do not look much at other candidates. This is important because it may make you feel underconfident. Now let's say you are an average looking person, and you might see a person who has a very good personality. You might get that feeling, oh, he's looking like a banker, already he is looking like a government employee already. I might lose some points in this regard. All these, when we think something, we think most of the time negative only, and very rarely do we think positive. So do not look much at other candidates. It may make you feel inferior. It may make you feel bad about yourself. So if someone says hi, just say hi, and try to keep it very calm, no noise, and don't chat a lot, and don't carry your mobile if possible. Now let's say you are entering the interview room. What to do? From here your body language starts. Now you know what most of these psychologists and interview experts say. Your first impression is almost 90% of the interview. Your first impression, and I'm very serious about it. When this person is the interviewer and you are being interviewed, so whenever the first glimpse at your face, the person who is interviewing you will either think positive about you or will either think negative about you. As simple as that. And the remaining part of the interview, he will just validate his opinion. For example, if an interviewer has thought about you that you are a positive person, you are looking good, you are dressed well, and everything is good about you, then that first impression is worth half the job done. And the remaining part, even if you do some blunders, that is fine. But if you have already created a negative image of yours, then even if you answer well, it will not guarantee you a place. So the first impression is important. Now one more thing, do not bend down while wishing. Now look at this chap. So he's actually one of my students, and while wishing, first he has done a blunder because he is wishing from the gate. Don't wish from the gate. First thing, do not knock. Okay, do not knock the door. Why do we knock? We knock because we don't want to sound like we knock because so as to get the other person to know that somebody has come. The interviewer is already expecting you to come, so don't knock. And then open the door. Don't make too much noise while opening the door. If that might not be in your hand, but try not to make noise. Be very gentle when opening the door, and then give a smile and ask, may I come in? Don't come in without asking, may I come in, ma'am, sir? Now if there is a ma'am also, sir also, that doesn't matter. You can just say, may I come in, ma'am, sir? Something like that. And they will of course say yes. So then come in, and after only you come near them, then you wish them. And I'll tell you how to wish them also. But this is the golden rule, take permission. Take permission for everything. Let's say you have to drink water, take permission. Take permission for each and everything. Don't do without any permission. Next, how to make eye contact. Now most of the people, they are not good at making eye contacts. First thing, let me tell you how to wish. So this is the first interviewer, this second, and this is the third. So let's say this is male, male, and male, and this is the door. So you have come. Now don't wish 3 times. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. No. Make an eye contact with all the three and then wish. Like for example, if you are saying good morning, sir, like that. Start good from here and end it here, and in between, good morning, sir, make eye contact with all the three gentlemen. Now let's say 2 are male and 1 is female. Okay, now of course, sir is not enough. There is a ma'am also. So then say, good morning, sir, ma'am. But don't say good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am. Not required. Just say good morning, ma'am. Give a slight nod to your neck, sir, ma'am, like that. So that is how you wish multiple people. And this is important. And while wishing, make proper eye contact. Do not look at the wall. Do not look at the door. Do not look at your CV. Come near and then first wish, and do not sit without the permission. Keep standing. Of course, they will ask you to sit, then only sit. Another thing, after you have sat on the chair, do not answer back. In the sense, let's say they ask you, how are you? So, uh, you will of course say, I'm good, ma'am, thank you, or I'm good, sir, thank you. Now, let's say a male interviewer asks you, how are you? So say, I'm good, sir, thank you, I'm good. That's it. Be, answer in a very low kind of voice, low pitch voice. I'm good, sir, thank you. And always nod your head always nod your head in affirmative. Now, don't ask the teacher, what about you, sir? Because a lot of them might take offense. I'm not saying this is a bad practice. People do ask, what about you, ma'am? What about you, sir? And it may show confidence. But I would say, just if you are not used to it, then don't do it. If you are used to it, if you can handle that sort of environment, then only do it. Don't ask it to look good, so that you want the interviewer to feel that you are a very confident guy. Don't do it. And that is what I mean by being natural. By being natural, it does not mean that you don't have to prepare. It simply means you don't have to do blunders. Next, if they ask, how do you do? Then don't say, how do you do? This is one of the things that these English speaking people, they have been teaching you since childhood. That what is the best answer to how do you do? Well, it is how do you do. This is complete bullshit. Don't answer how do you do, how do you do. It looks so bad and I mean offensive. Say, I'm good, ma'am, thank you. That's it. Don't ask questions. So next, as I said, take permission, otherwise keep standing. And if you are granted a permission to sit, which of course you will be, then always say, thank you, sir, ma'am. This is very important, to say thank you. Thank you after each and everything. Do not make noise when moving the chair. Let's say the chair is too close to the table, the interviewer table. Of course, you would want to make some room for yourself to be able to sit. Don't make noise. Just very, very gently pull the chair back, preferably with your left hand, not with your right hand. And that is why, if at all you wish to carry your papers or your CV in hand, or your any documents, carry it in your right hand. Clench it in your right fist and not in your left. With your left hand, gently move the chair, and then you can sit. Now, movement of the chair is important, and for this you do not have to take the permission. Now, let's say they tell you, please have a seat. Now, after that, don't take the permission, ma'am, may I move the chair? No, gently move the chair and sit. Now, how to sit, that is also very important. See, your hand gesture is very important. Now, here is an incredibly confident man, Barack Obama. Look at his hands, and this is the best way to sit on a chair. Best. Now, let's say you are holding your documents, okay? Then you can take the permission of the panelist or your interviewer, that can I keep the documents here? And of course, then you can keep. Don't keep your documents anywhere on the chair, here or somewhere. You can keep it in your lap here, and then you can fold your hands like this. This is the best hand posture, and this is cutting across all the exam interviews. This is the best hand posture. Close your hands slightly. Do not fold your hands. Just interlock the fingers. Look at another incredibly confident man, Putin. Look at how he's sitting. This is the perfect way to sit for an interview. Perfect. Your backbone should be straight. You should look comfortable. At the same time, your backbone should be straight. Your legs should be open, not locked. Look here at the legs. They are open. Don't close the legs. That is called an ankle lock. If you close your legs either in front of the chair, or some people have this habit, they will take their legs below at this part and they will lock. Don't do that. This is what I mean locking. Now, you may lock it in front of the chair or at back. This is not a nice posture. Make eye contact with all the judges. Now, I'll tell you one experience of my own. So I was sitting for an interview long back, and in the interview I was asked a question by, there were three interviewers. So one of the interviewer asked me a question. She was a female, and while replying, I just kept on looking at her only because she was the one who asked. Don't make this blunder. In fact, they got so offended that one of the interviewer actually told me that why are you not looking at us? And well, of course, I did not make it, but I'm just telling you that this is a blunder. Let's say this is interviewer number 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So let's say third person has asked you something, okay? Then don't just look at third person while answering. It's a very common mistake. Look at all the people. Yes, first, since he has asked, so look at him when you start the answer, but during the course of answering, look at all the 3 people. And that is a very, very important aspect. And since this is an informal interview, this is a big guy and these are like in journalist, so he can afford to cross his legs, but don't cross your legs. This I have just this image I have included to teach you this, that make eye contact with all the judges while answering, even though one of them has put up a question to you. Next, if you need to think, then you can ask for the time. That's perfectly all right. But you know that pause, it becomes very uncomfortable. Now let's say I have asked you a question. Let's say what is cash reserve ratio? Or let's say how much is the cash reserve ratio right now? You don't want to answer it immediately because you have kind of forgotten, you need some time to think. So don't just start thinking. Say very politely, ma'am, sir, I guess I would require a couple of minutes to recall. Or ma'am, sir, I suppose I would require a couple of minutes to recall. Or can I take some time to recall? Instead of can, you can also say may, although may is more polite. So may I take some time to recall? May may I take some time to think about it? May I, see, here is a pause. May I maybe take some time to think about it? Or may I take some time thinking about it? Like that. So you can ask for time to think about it. Now let's say they have given you time. See, it does not mean that you take all the time in the world. If you are not able to recall within, let's say, 10 seconds, then say, I'm not sure. There is no harm in saying you don't know. Don't say, I don't know. Just say, I'm not able to recall. I am not able to recall, or I am not sure. But I don't know, it looks very direct. Be more polite. Say, sir, I'm not sure. I'm not able to recall. And these are very standard answers. Even they would know that you have forgot it. And let's say you want to think. So while thinking, do not put your hands close to your lips like this. Look at this poor chap. He has put his hands close to his lips. Don't make these sort of postures. And let me tell you one thing, these look very obvious things. But what happens is if you do not prepare for these situations, and that is why I said, give mock interview to your friend or to any professional. Because what happens, now let's say you are used to this situation, that when you need time, your hand automatically goes near your lips and you make this kind of a pose. It is counterproductive and you will not be able to control some of your instincts while sitting in that interview. And that is why prepare, and do not make these these kind of faces that you are looking at side and you're thinking. Now another very important point, let's say they have given you a time to think. During that time, will you make eye contact with the judges? No, don't make. So what not to do while thinking, this is very important. Let's say you are thinking for 20 seconds. That time there will be a tension. Just imagine, you are sitting in an interview. There are 3 people who are interviewing you, and they ask you a question and you are thinking. Now just imagine that deafening silence. I'm using this oxymoron, deafening silence, because you can imagine it. That time there will be a tension. And in that tension, don't look at the judges. When you are thinking, do not make eye contact with the judges. Now, if you are not making eye contact, but your eyes will look at some place, so which place will that be? Don't look upward toward the roof and ceiling like some people do. Don't do that. Remove your eye contact, that is disengage yourself from the judges, okay, and look at the wall which is behind the judges. That is one best area to look. Or you can look slightly downward, keeping your neck slightly still, but don't look downward, as in don't look toward your shoes and don't look that down. Slightly disengage yourself and look towards the bottom of the table, something like that while thinking, or at the wall which is behind the judges. That is the best place. But don't look towards the roof and ceiling. Don't show your neck to the judges like that. And don't make eye contact while thinking. Now, if you do not know the answer, very politely, I'm not sure. I'm not able to recall. And do not say sorry, I don't know. You don't have to be sorry if you don't know. It happens, but do not say sorry, because what happens if you say sorry is that, you know, you might come across as a person who is very obsequious and servile, who does not have courage, who is very scared to lose. And these kind of people nobody likes. So keep your body language positive and do not make faces if you don't know the answer. Another very important thing, what is the meaning of staying positive? Now let's say they ask you a question and you don't know. They asked you another question and you don't know that also. Now you may panic. Oh my god, I am done. What will happen now? My interview is over, my life is over. These kind of negative thoughts will come in your mind. At this time it is very important to maintain your calm, and there will always be a question which you don't know. Okay, that is a habit of the interviewer. He will keep you asking question until he finally ask you a question which you don't know. This is the habit of most of the people who take interviews. So there will be questions which you will not be able to answer. Now let's say there is one question you have not been able to answer. Okay, it's okay. Second, okay. Third, also you're not able to answer, still remain calm. And if you don't know the answer, then mix it up. For example, first question if you don't know, then ma'am, I'm not sure. Second, I'm not able to recall. Third, not sure, like that. But don't give the same answer. Like for example, first question you don't know, I'm not sure. Second, I'm not sure. Third, I'm not sure. No, just mix them up. But never say sorry. Do not say sorry, sorry, not sure. Don't say sorry. Just say not sure. And be very polite. Just nod your neck in negative when you say you don't know, and never panic. Some people, that look comes on their face. Some people, they are like very innocent, very sensitive, very straightforward kind of people. So it shows on their faces that they are not happy. They have not answered 2 questions straight or 3 questions back to back. So that look, as if you have drowned in the sea, that kind of look will come on your face, and that is detrimental, because that will show that you are not able to handle pressure, something that is required for most of the government jobs. You should be having a personality. You ought to have a personality where you can handle pressure, where you can handle stress. And just 3 questions you are not able to answer, and you have made a face like a lamb, and as if you just want to go away, run away in embarrassment. Never do that. Stay positive, stay calm, and don't give use words like yeah, yup, well said, nice. These are very informal words, and these are almost instinctive, because with your friends you never say yes. In fact, these days people never say even okay to their friend. They just say K in your informal conversation on Facebook and all. K. Don't let your instincts overpower you. Be very formal. If you have to say yes, say yes. Don't say yeah. But what happens is, we are interviews like once in a year thing. So we are used to saying yeah 364 days a year. So suddenly we have to reply in affirmative. So automatically, which word is more likely to come out of your mouth? It is yeah, not yes. And that is why when you give mock interviews to your friends and all, then do practice of these also. If interviewer asks you something, don't say yep. It's very instinctive. You may not realize it. Later on you may realize it when finally the offer letter will not come. That time you might realize it. But it's better to realize now and work on it. Now, there are some questions. Just like a snake bites you, these questions will bite you. Like, what are your weaknesses? When they ask you what are your weaknesses, it's a very, very, loaded question. Now, one person might say, oh, I don't have any weakness. Of course, no one will say that. But you want to say that. Of course, you want to show yourself perfect, and there is nothing wrong with that. But what are your weaknesses? Then at this point of time, just say what is your strength. Like for example, you can say that, well, earlier I was not very knowledgeable. I did not care to read up newspapers. My current affairs were not good. But during the process, preparing for this exam has brought a lot of positive changes in me. And I started reading, and I tried to make up for the lack of knowledge during the process, during the course of the preparation. So something that was your weakness, you can show it as your strength, that yes, it was your weakness. It was, and don't give random answers. For example, what happens sometimes when you have not prepared for these answers, So let's say a judge actually asks you this question: what are your weakness? Now you have not prepared for it. So at that time, in that tension, you will become anxious and you will speak anything like, I trust people easily. Well, if you trust people easily, then you might as well work in some other some other setup. Like, so what happens, we might end up speaking something that we regret later, and it happens a lot of times, and that is all due to lack of preparation. Sometimes what happens, when an interviewer asks us a question, we give a very average kind of answer, but when we come out of the room, we regret, oh, had I said this, then this would have given me 10 out of 10. This is all lack of preparation and nothing else. If you have prepared your answers, there is no way that you will not answer that particular answer while being in an interview. Now let's say it is a long interview. Stay energetic. I know you have waited 4 hours to get into the room, and even the people who are interviewing you, they'll be a little tired, but stay energetic. At least let not your tiredness show on your face, and do not show your tiredness to the interviewer. This is another important body language concept that you should be careful of. And one more thing, when you get up, always say thank you, with respect, with a smile on your face. Pick up your documents and leave. Don't say anything more. Don't ask for the feedback. This is not the sort of interview where you ask for feedback. You know your feedback. You will know your feedback when finally the envelope comes, but don't ask for the feedback. How was my interview? What could I have done better? Don't do that. Just say thank you, ma'am, thank you, sir, thank you, like that. As simple as that, and come. So interview is more about avoiding the things, avoiding the blunders. That is the most important thing that you have to learn. And that's it. That's the body language thing that I wanted to tell you. I included my personal experience also, and a lot of the hacks, so to say, tricks, which might help you. Now this was only the part 1 of interview, that is the body language. In my part 2, I will tell you how to answer the typical questions, like for example, well, you are an engineer, so what will you do in banking, or won't you miss your engineering days? How will your engineering knowledge help in banking? So questions like these, that will be part 2, that will come in 1 or 2 days. Thank you for watching.